Munich massacre, September 1972. The Munich Games marked the first return of the Olympics to a German city, since the 1936 Games in Berlin. Adolf Hitler's use of those games as a platform for the propagation of Nazi ideology. Munich organizers spent less than $2 million on security, and security personnel were to be unarmed, inconspicuous, and non-confrontational. The 20th Olympiad began on August 26, 1972, as thousands of athletes from more than 120 countries celebrated the opening ceremonies of what the organizers had dubbed Peace and Joy. The Day of Terror began at 4:30 AM on September 5, 1972, when 8 Palestinian militants affiliated with Black September, a militant offshoot of the Palestinian group Fatah, scaled a fence surrounding the Olympic Village in Munich. Disguised as athletes, and using stolen keys, they forced their way into the quarters of the Israeli Olympic team at 31 Canal Strasse. As they attempted to enter apartment 1, they were confronted by Josef Gutfreund, a wrestling referee, and Moshe Weinberg, a wrestling coach. They were shot. Black September had detailed plans of the Olympic Village and the dispositions of the Israeli athletes. In apartment 3, the terrorists gathered more hostages, and forced them back to apartment 1. Wrestler Gad Sabari broke from the group, and dashed down a flight of stairs toward an underground parking garage, and Weinberg took advantage of the confusion to again fight the attackers. Weinberg had nearly gained control of a terrorist's gun when he was shot and killed. While 2 Israelis lay dead in the Olympic Village and 9 others were being held hostage, International Olympic Committee Chairman Avery Brundage said that the games should continue. The terrorists demanded the liberation of more than 200 Palestinians held in Israeli prisons, the release of Andreas, Baader and Ulrike Meinhof of the Red Army faction from German prisons, and the provision of an airplane to fly them to a safe destination in the Middle East. While negotiations were ongoing, a planned rescue attempt had to be called off, when it was realized that actions of West German police were being broadcast live to nearly 1 billion people around the world, and to the many televisions throughout the Olympic Village. At about 10 p.m. on September 5, believing they had reached an agreement, the terrorists led their bound and blindfolded hostages from their quarters into buses that transported them to waiting helicopters. The helicopters carried them to Fürstenfeldbruck Air Base, 15 miles west of the Olympic Village, where police were lying in ambush. Although the German army had better training and equipment for such a mission, under West Germany's post-war constitution, the armed forces were forbidden from aiding the civilian police. The police snipers used in the operation had not received formal training as sharpshooters, they were improperly placed, and inadequate in number, and they lacked radios to communicate with each other or with commanders. On the airbase tarmac was a Boeing 727 filled with 17 police officers disguised as a Lufthansa flight crew. Helicopters arrived about 10:30 p.m., and 2 terrorists went to inspect the jetliner. Finding it empty, and becoming aware of the deception, they shouted to their comrades. at which point West German police fired upon them. A gun battle ensued, and several terrorists and one police officer were killed. Just after midnight, a terrorist tossed a hand grenade into one of the helicopters, killing all but one of the Israeli hostages aboard. By 12:30 AM on September 6, the shooting had stopped, and the 20-hour reign of terror was over. 11 Israelis had been killed, along with one Munich policeman, and 5 Black September terrorists lay dead. 3 of the gunmen were captured. At 3 AM, Jim McKay, who had been broadcasting from the Olympic Village for 14 straight hours, summarized the tragic outcome of the botched rescue with the words, "They're all gone." Israel's Prime Minister, Golda Meir, responded by authorizing Operation Wrath of God, a targeted assassination campaign against Black September operatives and organizers. The Munich massacre, which was carried out by the infamous Black September group, marked a watershed moment in the Palestinian struggle. It also raises important questions about the effectiveness of terrorism and the moral implications of fighting back against terrorism. If you want to know any incident or any story, please comment below, and subscribe this channel. Press bell icon for future update.